Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I'm here to talk about Orphan Black episode 402, titled Transgressive Border Crossing, which premiered Thursday, April 21st, 2016 on Space in BBC America. So guys, quite a lot of things happened in this episode. Kind of had a few creepy moments at the end though, but let's get started with something new that we learned in this episode. So basically I'm just going to go with what each character kind of learned, or what we learned about each character in this episode. Otherwise it'd be all confusing trying to figure out, because a lot of the clone stuff actually overlaps. So with Sarah, we see her investigating Beth's latest case, partially done with art, and that is that whole body mod Neo that had his cheek cut out in the flashback that we saw in the previous episode. So we also see her trying to get answers about that case through MK, because they've come to the realization that she's the one that actually pointed Beth to that direction. Turns out Sarah actually finds about those cheek implant things, and scary enough, she has a worm cheek implant in her, and we actually see it moving in her cheek when she has Mrs. S check and confirm that she does have one, and she's so freaked out. And I gotta say, it's so creepy, and I didn't think that she'd have one. I thought out of everyone she'd be one that would not have one. So yeah, I'll get right back to that in a moment. So basically with Casima, we find that her new lab, since she's not working for Diet anymore, her new lab and her new home essentially is basically underneath a comic book store, which was thought was appropriate and pretty cool. And it seems that I'm not sure if Scott also lives there with her, but he's definitely working there with her. And apparently her health is getting worse. She's still trying to work out a gene therapy treatment based off of Kendall Malone's DNA, Kendall being the originator of both Castor and Lita. So she's trying to figure out a gene therapy that could work for her, but it's taking some time. Because of that, she can't use any of Kira's DNA, because she can't mix up gene therapies, or it will mess with the data and mess with the progress and stuff like that. So there's that. Also, we find that Chrissy has heard no news about Delphine or where she is, and she's worried about that. Mrs. S hasn't heard anything about that either, which we find out when Kissima actually asks her. And we also find out through Scott that Dyad seems to be out of the cloning business, so it seems that we're just dealing with Neolution at the moment. So there's that. Based on Allison, though, we see her trying to get on track with things back at home, but she's also struggling with a freeloading Helena, who is not only pregnant, but dealing with all the pregnancy cravings and pregnancy needs and stuff like that, while Allison is, as last in the finale, she was elected as school trustee, I believe it was, so we're seeing her trying to struggle scheduling wise with the trustee responsibilities and dealing with her kids and Helena and all that extracurricular stuff she does. So she's definitely struggling for a balance as well. And speaking of Helena, we see that she has her first doctor's appointment, and Donnie goes with her because they have Helena pretending to be Allison, so that she still gets the same medical treatment plan that Allison has. So at this visit, she has her first sonogram done, and they find out that Helena is actually having twins, and identical twins apparently. So that's quite an emotional moment for her, for that discovery, as well as for Donnie, because he hasn't experienced anything like this with Allison, because of the fact that Allison can't have kids of her own. Yes, they adopted Oscar and Gemma, but what he's experiencing with Helena right now is something he hasn't experienced with Allison, so it's a new territory for him, and it definitely seems to have brought them closer in the moment for sure. Another surprising thing, we actually saw more Beth flashbacks in this episode. So with Beth, though, it's after the shooting that happened with Maggie Chen, and it leads up to actually the final moments we see of Beth before she goes to that train station to her suicide. And apparently a blonde wig, bloody hands, a security pass that she cuts up, and her mentioning that she screwed things up are one of the last few things that she did before she said goodbye to MK before leaving for her death. So there's that. And with Felix, we actually find out in this episode why he's kind of distant with the family, and that's because essentially at the end of season 2, he find out that he's not related to anybody. All the clones that they've met are related to Sarah, which makes sense. And then Kira is Sarah's daughter, so okay, that makes sense. But Felix and Sarah were both foster kids to Mrs. S. But in the last season, they find out that actually Sarah is related to Mrs. S through Kendall Malone, because Kendall Malone is Mrs. S's mother, but she's also the originator of Sarah's clone lineage. So they're family. So for Felix, he technically is he's the outcast. He's not blood related to any one of them. So that has caused him to drift off from his foster family and has him wanting to find out who or where his birth family is. So he's trying to figure that out. No clue as to how far he's gone in that search, but it seems that Allison knows about it, and that's pretty much it. And he seems to be spray painting at least, a lot more at his house, or at his loft, in the nude, still. So at least that part hasn't changed for Felix. And also with Kendall Malone, we find out through Scott when doing blood tests on Kendall for Cosima, we find out that Kendall actually has leukemia and Mrs. S doesn't know. So, and she wants to keep it that way because she doesn't want a pity party. And it seems like Scott agrees. So there's that. So let's move on to the most shocking moment of the episode. Initially, it was the fact that we were still getting Beth flashbacks. I thought it was just going to be the premiere episode and that was it. So I really like the fact that we're actually still seeing more of Beth and seeing more of her instead of impersonation of her or hallucination. So that's really good. And the overall shocking moment, though, like story-wise, is the fact that Sarah has a worm cheek implant thingy. It's like, ugh. It's like, creep me out. It's like, I'd be freaked out and scared like she is. It's just like, no, ew, no. And now I'm worried about Kira, too. So moving on to top 3 favorite moments of the episode. The first one was Sarah's warm welcome that she got from Cosima underneath the comic book store. The hug, the fact that Cosima was very glad to see Sarah because we don't really get that same reaction with Allison or with Felix. So it's like it was great to see that at least Cosima liked the fact that Sarah was home. Next favorite moment was Helena's reaction to seeing her twins for the first time. Her reaction to sonograms to begin with, and the fact that she had 2 babies inside of her, is just the reaction to it was very Helena-like. It was innocent to that part of Helena, I guess you could say. So it was just fantastic to see her experience that type of moment for sure. And bonus that Donnie got to experience it to some level as well. Sorry for the glare. Last favorite moment, kind of an emotional one. And that was the last moment that MK has with Beth. And I like that it was very emotional. I like that it showed the connection between the two of them. Even their last words, MK is pretty much begging Beth to not leave her and that she needs her. But then Beth tells MK to watch over the other girls for her. And this is essentially their last moment together because the next time, theoretically, that you would see Beth is when she's at the train station moments before she takes her own life. So, it didn't click to me at first that was a goodbye scene for them. Like, when MK first showed up and the way that the way that Beth was dressed, it didn't occur to me that that was essentially Beth's last night. It didn't occur to me until she gave the gun to MK and told her to walk away from all this, to go back into hiding. So it was very emotional, very powerful, and it was, it was because of that, and it showed the raw emotional backstory, I guess, behind the two of them. That's why it's my favorite. Not the fact that it was a sad goodbye or anything. It's just the fact that how emotionally powerful it was is why I liked it. Alright, so moving on to top 3 peak moments. First one is the fact that Felix's distant behavior towards Sarah. I mean, I understand why he's like that. Yet with the dangerous situation she's in as a clone, I don't get why he would be distant towards her when essentially any moment she could be taken to never be seen again. Like, that's happened with Project Castor taking her, that happened with Neolution, or when Dyad took her and she was missing. you would think that Felix would be more grateful for the fact that he had his foster sister there instead of the fact that, like, she's missing somewhere, but instead he's acting distant, like he doesn't want anything to do with her. And, like, I get that he wants to find his own way, find out who he is, but, like, don't really have to push anybody away to do that, do you? It's just irritating, because I don't know how long it's been between, or how long Sarah's been gone in Iceland for, but it's not that long though, since Helena's still pregnant, but, like, you would think that he would have missed her, or he would have showed more that he missed her than just saying, yeah, I missed you guys, and that was it. So that was just it. Next peak moment that I had was the fact that Kendall is keeping her leukemia a secret. Again, I understand why she would want to do that, but I don't like she's keeping a secret because of the fact that it could affect Casima's gene therapy treatment. I mean, Casima is basically relying on Kendall's health to find a way to fix her own health problems, but if Kendall has leukemia, won't that skew how the gene therapy made from Kendall affects Casima? I mean, I'm not an expert in how gene therapy works or what types of cells are needed or what information is needed from one person to apply to a gene therapy thing, but I would assume that Kendall being sick or not is a crucial part in helping or in determining whether a gene therapy thing would work or not. But the fact that she's not even going to tell Basima, who really is the one that needs the genetic information from Kendall to figure out how to fix her health problem, is, I don't know, it didn't sit right. It just felt like if you're sick, you kind of need to tell her, because she's the one that is relying on your health to save her. So it's just that. Moving on to what moment I remember most when I look back on this episode. The cheek implant thing, especially when Sarah had it checked out by Mrs. S, and you have the light shining out, and then you see the worm moving. It's just like, ugh. It's like, I don't think I'm going to forget that at all, because that's so gross, and just remembering the fear in Sarah's eyes when she felt the worm move. It was just like, I'm guessing the worm never moved before, so, or unless it moved and she didn't know it was the worm moving, and I don't know. But anyways, moving on to random questions. First one, guys. Okay, in the credits, Dylan Bruce, who plays Paul, was still included in those opening credits. So I'm left wondering if that means that we're still going to see Paul, if he's still considered part of the main cast. Does that mean that we're still going to see more Paul? Especially if we're going to see more flashbacks of Beth, does that mean Paul is going to be seen more? I don't know. I hope so. I miss Paul. I hated the fact that he was killed off. So I'm hoping we still get to see Dylan Bruce play Paul. Sorry, so I'm hoping for that. But if anyone has any news about that, let me know. I'd be stoked for that kind of spoiler stuff for sure. Next question. Are those killer paramedics looking for MK? I mean, they approached Sarah saying that we've been looking for her, but then once they confirmed the fact that she was Sarah, they pulled away from her and just walked away and left her alone. So it's like, were they looking for MK? And if so, why are they looking for her? And leading into that though, next question. If checking Sarah's mouth was a way for the paramedics to identify who she is, does that mean that she's the only lead alone with the worm implant in her cheek? Because I don't know how they would be able to, because the only way you can tell the clones apart, aside from their appearance, is the genetic tag marker in their DNA, which you can't really get when looking at them. So, if that's the case, does that mean that Sarah's the only Leah clone that has that worm implanted in them? And if so, how long has she had that worm really in her? Has it been since the season 2 finale, or is it season 2? Yeah, season 2 finale, when she gave herself up to Neolution to get Kira back. Who knows, but I'm a little worried about that. And last question. If Kendall is sick with leukemia, then won't that harm Casima's own treatment? I mentioned that before, same question now. I hope it doesn't, but I really hope that if anyone's to find out, Casima should find out. Yes, Mrs. S should find out, but I get why Kendall doesn't want to tell her, because she just got Mrs. S back. But Casima, who's doing all this research and trying to figure out their DNA and how, or what makes them different from the originator, should be able to know the fact that there's that slight difference that they're going to have to deal with. So there's that. So moving on to predictions. Sorry, I'm trying to move my screen down because I wrote a bit about for predictions. So based off the brief promo that we saw for 403, it looks like Kira is talking to Kasema about Sarah being set on fire. She pretty much said you had to. She was changing. Don't know what that means. I'm a little worried about what that can mean for sure, especially with setting her on fire for one, and the fact that she said that she was changing. Changing what? Because she has the worm in her cheek. Or, like, what is the deal with that? So, anyways, we also see Helena's cravings increasing from the looks of it. It also looks like the Hendrixes are going to return to the spot where they buried Dr. Leakey's body. And if you remember, that is in the garage floor they had cemented over it. So there's that. And it also looks like there are going to be some homicide detectives visiting the Hendrix household and mistaking Helena as Allison as they ask questions about the massacre at a nearby garage, which, if you remember, Helena killed a whole bunch of mobsters in that garage to get the drug money back for Donnie and her frozen eggs as well. And it also looks like Sarah is going to try to find that contact of MK's who mistaken her as MK back at the Neolution Club. So we're going to see how that goes as well. I don't have his name. I'm going to have to pay better attention next episode for his name, though. But that's who he is. Based off the synopsis, though, that I was able to find for the next episode, it looks like Sarah rushes to find answers about the implant in her cheek. Looks like Mrs. S makes an alliance with an old nemesis. Rachel seems to get a visit from her keeper, possibly her mom, who she thought was dead before finding out that she's actually the one who kidnapped her and brought her to Neolution. And it looks like she takes a fraught step forward in her recovery. Remember, she has that weird engineered eye now. So there's that. And it looks like, again, Helena is mistaken as Allison as she gets a few visitors from the detective. So there's that. Based off the sneak peek, though, for the episode that was released on the official after show After the Black with AJ and Teddy from space, the sneak peek shows Helena posing as Allison getting a visit from the two detectives looking into the homicide case. So it's definitely interesting to see Helena trying to pose as Allison, since they're like completely opposite sides when it comes to behavior, so that's gonna be fun. Sorry, new video. Apparently I reached my limit, which I gotta figure out what that is. But overall predictions, though, very quickly. Sarah's gotta find a way to get that implant out of her cheek without killing herself, because any interference to it kills Loves. Don't know how, but it's gruesome, and showed some video about it too. Also, the Hendrix family is going to have to evade some suspicion, not only with Dr. Leakey's body, but also with the massacre down at the garage with the drug boss, mob boss people thing that Helena ended for them. Also, we got to figure out what Kara means by Sarah changing. I also get this vibe from Kira that she knows a lot more than people think. Like, I kept getting the idea that, like, there's something extra special about Kira, and the fact that maybe some like premonition stuff, probably not that supernatural-esque, but something along those lines is what I'm thinking about. But hopefully we'll get more into Kira about that. I also have a bad feeling that the search for Felix's birth family won't end well. Either he's going to find out that he really has nothing in common with them, he's going to find out that they left him in a foster family because they didn't want him, or they find out that he finds out that they're connected to Neolution somehow, and really pits him against his own family, or he doesn't find any answers at all, or he finds that his birth family is dead, maybe. So, I don't know. Whatever it is, I really have a bad feeling that Felix is not going to find what he's looking for in some way, shape, or form. So, that's one worry I have. And also, we got to find out where Beth went when she was wearing the blonde wig. We got to find out what that passkey was meant for. I think there was an I and a B on the card. It was very weird, very simple logo, yet it's so simple you don't know exactly if it actually stands for what it actually looks like, or if it's just to throw you off or something like that. We got to figure out why she was so bloody as well, though. So there's quite a few questions, and luckily we're only 2 episodes in so far, so we got 8 more to figure out the mystery in this season. But I can't wait for it. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you like about it? Let me know in the comments below. I love to hear about it, as well as your own thoughts, theories, and predictions, or even your own questions. Hopefully I can help you out and try to figure those answers out. But yeah, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Also, check out my Tumblr page. The link for those will be down below. You got one link specifically for this episode, and then you got one link that will lead you to a master tag list that you'll find all your Orphan Black related tags to. I believe it's the 3rd show down on the list. And that's if you want promos, sneak peeks, web clips, quotes, GIFs, anything like that. Check out my Tumblr for that. I reblog about a lot of other different TV shows, so if you're a fan of those ones, follow me for that as well. That'd be great. And that's been it. So thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. Sorry for the delay for this video. I had to go back home for the weekend to finish up some things, but thank you for tuning back in. I hope you like the new format that I'm doing for these videos. It's definitely no 10-minute clock today because I'm recording on my tablet. My tablet usually has my timer, so got a bit longer today. But I hope you tune in next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.